Stephen.
Andrew.
Do you fancy spending a final quiet night inside number 9 for Series 8?
Let's do that.
The Last Weekend. Series 8, Episode 6. Directed by Ian Bevitt. Produced by Kim Crowther. Written by Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. And it first aired on Thursday the 25th of May 2023.
A new name.
A new name. Yes, we've not come across Ian before, I don't think, as a directing credit.
Don't think we have.
So, great debut.
I think so. This was full-on classic. Inside number 9. Balls out. Yeah. Loved
100%.
it.
100%. Do you want to give us a synopsis to kick us off?
Yeah. So we meet Chazz and Joe, who are heading off to a cabin in the woods for one last weekend together. And that's all you get, because that's
very good.
Thank you. Concise.
I mean, there's so many potential ways to express feelings about this episode. I think there's the thinking back to how you're feeling as you're watching it for the first time and everything's sort of unfolding in front of you. And that is a feeling you will never get back again, because it was a roller coaster. It was an absolute ride. And you think it's going in one direction, and then big switcheroo from my perspective anyway. Because it just felt like a real sentimental episode. There was a real... everything was sort of fueling that. Like the music had this just beautifully sentimental tone to it.
You know what wasn't, though?
What's that?
The flies. The flies were there.
They were
and
always
then
there.
you find out why.
Yeah.
And you see it again, and they're just there constantly buzzing around. Little cuts out to them around the bulbs outside, flying through the windows.
Like the birds.
The birds, that's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, it had that vibe.
Did.
But like, I don't think I, on first viewing, was paying them attention with respect to how it would finish.
No, I thought it was just scene setting and just general ambience around staying in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. In Scotland.
Yeah, although I've made a note at the beginning, it looked like they were driving through quite autumnal leaves as they were driving up through to where they were staying. I don't know how insecty the autumnal months are.
I don't know.
Tell me, how buggy is September?
There's a lot of people who listen who are Scottish, so I'm sure they can they can enlighten us. But I think it probably is. Certainly the end of the summer is.
I guess so.
Yeah. There always seems to be bugs around there. You know, just...
In cabins in Scotland, there's just bugs everywhere.
Especially by a lake, by a loch. Yeah.
Well done, mate. That was smooth.
Cheers. So, I mean, let's just sort of wander through it and maybe remember how we felt watching it for the first time. And then, you know, how we felt, what you notice watching it for a second time, when you know how it's going to end. Mm-hmm. It's a kind of different filter through which to see it.
Yeah,
very much so. So we get the opening, as you said, like the car driving through, but a bit of a Shining-esque opening.
Winding its way up the mountain.
Around the mountain.
Very old car.
Yeah.
Very old saloon.
Yes. And we arrive at a cabin / house / home in the woods by a lake. And out Chazz and Joe get with their luggage, number 9.
Chazz is immediately upset. As soon as he walks in, he knew it was coming. I get the sense that he'd been pre-complaining all the way up about how Molly was going to have left the place.
Mm.
And it was all just confirmed for him as soon as he walked in. Well, just insects everywhere.
Ants on the surfaces. Smells like a brie has farted. The fridge has been left closed. You don't really get a sense of how long it's been since they were last there. Do they spend every weekend there? Or is this...
It can't get that bad. Can it get that bad in a week? Sunday evening to Saturday morning?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just
I
somewhere
wouldn't have thought so. Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, Joe is not nearly as upset by the presence of the bugs.
He is not. He doesn't mind. And there's that little moment at the beginning where he is on his phone, he either receives a message or sends a little message, and there's a little satisfied look on his face at that point, while Chazz is wandering around going...
With his dustbuster out.
Gets his dustbuster out. I thought his dustbusting dance, like his movements there are great. As he's sort of like getting involved, but also keeping things at arm's length.
It's... If someone says to you, camp dustbusting, I think that's exactly what you'd imagine.
Yes, he did very good. And Joe takes the bag to the bedroom, and there's this kind of... is that the first we get of the actual flies at that, or the mosquitoes at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
He opens the window. Bit of Chekhov's kind of window opening to reveal...
We haven't had a Chekhov in a while, have we?
We haven't,
that's the first
series. Yeah. Yeah. And there's that creepy shot of him stood in the window, and we're looking from the outside. And it could be... I mean, on first viewing, there was a mournful aspect to it. A kind of...
That's what the music was suggesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that was... the first sense of there being something sad going on.
Mm-hmm. He brings something in that he's found behind the fridge. So that sort of reference to the mousetrap as well. Mm-hmm. When you kind of view it again, it's like, that's what this whole place is. Like he is...
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Trapping Chazz like a mouse.
And I think he's turning this entire place into a vermin hole.
Yeah.
Ready for the final act.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is something about the place in this episode that is very much that. Yeah. Kind of and then the bath acts as that ultimate trap at the end. Or
grim. Yeah. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but
we'll get there. We'll get there.
And I told her to plant some lavender around the back to keep the mozzies away. But she hasn't done that either. You know where this is from? It was behind the fridge.
Don't know. Just put it in my mousetrap.
Oh, you want to put everything in my mousetrap?
No, I don't.
You do. It's like a whole compendium in there now. I don't know. You meant to catch the poor thing with a bathtub, 2 rummy cubs, and a Captain Peacock.
It's Mrs. Peacock. Captain Peacock is...
Are you being served? Yeah, all right, Nelly. You know what I mean. And I bet she hasn't dusted these blinds.
Chazz.
Yeah, and then there's that. Yeah, just a lovely when he's flapping around with the blinds. And then Joe comes in and they have a little bit of a cuddle, and
they play this really well, the two of them.
Yeah, yeah, and it is.
They do sell the gay couple very well.
Absolutely, and it just had a real sense to it of this is Stephen Rees as well. Like this is they're telling something of their own creative partnership here, which who knows where that heads next, but
with Reese in a bath, cement.
Yeah. So I've always felt really, Steve, like you've just trapped me in a bath.
I've wasted so many years in this creative partnership.
9 years of your life you're not getting back. Yeah. Oh, and should have said this. We have the denial bag, don't we?
Oh yes, denial supermarkets.
Yeah. So that's the first of the stages of grief.
Oh, and in that there was also the mentions of Molly. There was later on in the episode. I thought Molly was going to end up being a victim of some sort. And I don't know if she ever was at the end. He says that he put her on a train, but I don't know how much I trust this man. But yeah, this 82-year-old lady that they seem to have put in charge of cleaning their cabin.
Mm.
Is she not retired? Is she not just kind of trying to live out her best life up in
Well, it sounds like she lives in Glasgow because she's gone back to Glasgow after being.
Where's she staying? She's got her own little place somewhere up there, but just pops around and does a bit of cleaning.
Yeah. And she can hear them when she's walking the dog. She can hear. She's obviously very, very close by.
Mm-hmm.
Hear what's going on in their house. Yeah.
But yeah, I think she ended up being a bit of a red herring later on. So yeah, we kind of get some backstory on the pair of them. When we hear our first "I love you" from Chazz that is not reciprocated. But Joe's bought him a 9-year anniversary gift. They're inside number 9.
Copper.
Yes, a copper bracelet which represents beauty and malleability, manipulation, creating something and having someone bend to your every whim and what you need.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's been doing.
It is. Yes. So yeah, they pledged to be together for at least 9 years. Obviously, despite the bumps and lumps, she kind of
that knowing little glance then when he said that, was a clue for us, I guess.
Yeah, and it's incredible the setup. Again, we haven't said all series like how much is packed into such a short space of time, but I was really struck by it in this episode. Like, just bang, 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 like setting up everything that's
really
happening here.
Dense with dialogue.
Yeah.
I was struggling to sort of keep note of things as I was going because it was just constant. There's very little sort of breathing space and it's switching between things, especially as you get towards the slightly later bits where you're wondering what's going on here and it is flicking so quickly that you don't really have time to get a handle on what you actually think is going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet so much is being communicated. So we learn about the pink sock, the purple sock, which is when they first met.
Brilliant name for a bar.
Yes.
The purple sock.
It's kind of strange because there is a vibe. I don't know. There does seem like a distance between them at this stage, but also a closeness. Like there is a strange, what is this thing going on here?
I think part of that's slightly down to how different they are. I've seen people drawing parallels between this pair and going right back to the beginning in Sardines. The couple there, played by Stephen Reese, you could almost draw a straight line between that pair there and how they're ending up here. And I guess it's just that kind of lends itself a little bit, I guess, to it seeming like there's some distance because they're so different. And there is kind of a sense of, is Joe almost sort of looking down on him a bit because of all his flamboyance and his campness, whereas he's a bit more down the line. But you're right, there is. It's I guess the physical stuff, the hug round from behind and the little looks when they're talking through their little origin story that bring that closeness back.
Yeah. And their little kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was lovely.
Go on.
Yeah, that was a stage at which I was like, oh, we're watching something really nice here. Like, it's going to be a really sad episode, but...
Well, that's the thing. I think that's what I thought. It's pointless expecting things anymore from this program. this far in, you should know by now that it's futile to have any expectations of what you're going to see.
Yeah.
But it did feel an awful lot like this. Maybe this was just a couple living out their last weekend together. It wasn't. Well, it was.
To the sound of buzzing.
The sound of buzzing, yeah.
I know we don't really do anniversaries, but it's been 9 years.
No, that's not now, is it?
Well, it depends where you take it from. You know, first date, first kiss, first coupling.
Coupling? We sound like fucking Jane Austen characters.
But I'm taking it from when I first approached you in that awful bar.
Awful bar. What's it called? The Pink Sock?
The Purple Sock.
The Purple Sock, Jesus.
Anyway, I told you then that we'd be together for at least 9 years, and in spite of a few bumps and lumps, we made it.
Steve's then unloading medicines into the cabinet.
He is.
He's really selling this, isn't he?
He's really selling. I wonder if they're little Vimto capsules or as well as the Xanax. Yeah, and this is where we get that sort of setup around the fact that they don't see each other apart from at weekends. And yeah, Chazz wants to see Joe more. He's like, you should, don't work as hard. But Joe likes working. It keeps him busy.
Don't try and change me. And then this was the first real nod to this is a terminal illness story with I just wish we could have done more. Mm-hmm. That was for me okay, he's dying. that's what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, and also on the second viewing that idea is he hasn't done anything. Like Chazz, or the two of them, he has literally put his life on hold for 9 years, and he wishes that they could have done more, which is all part of the plan, all part of the campaign.
And that's the thing, is that creating that deliberately dull existence where actually, if you had had that long of knowing this was coming, you had those 9 years together where, okay, I don't know how much of this was post-diagnosis, but not just launching yourself into things and just doing stuff. Not just, why spending your weekends here in this cabin? Why are you not going to exciting places and doing things that you always wanted to do? Creating this kind of this mundane thing of every weekend we get together, we hang out for a bit, we have some dinner, then we go, then that's it and then I'm back to work in the week again. Yeah. Just deliberately turning this into mundanity and to make it really feel like a waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the impression I get. They haven't been doing anything.
Well, even when, Chazz booked the Iceland trip and then that got cancelled because Joe was too ill to go. So I imagine maybe there's a cycle of that kind of thing. Like anytime Chazz is like, oh, can we do this? Okay, I'll book that. And it's like, I'm too ill. And so that's, just allows that mundanity to continue. And here we get Joe thankfully shutting the door to the bathroom as we are sort of peeking in on him. Although it would turn out he's just going to pour a little bit of Vimto in the toilet, so it wouldn't have been too harrowing to watch. But it would have given away something.
It would.
I'm glad he shut the door at that moment.
On reflection, it was very purple looking.
Yeah, I thought it was like a sort of orangey sun-kissed. It's a bit like that Les Paul sun-kissed vibe. Yeah.
Almost like a tequila sunrise.
Yes, like
the drink.
Yeah.
And while that's going on, the phone rings while Chazz is starting to sort out dinner and Mick is calling with some emojis.
Yeah, Mick kiss heart.
Mick kiss heart. There was a bit of resignation on his face.
It was kind of interesting. I was really taken by his response to that.
All the way through, when he was seeing those, it was almost like okay.
And I wonder whether we're still in the denial bit here. Whether there's an element of the almost denial there, or not wanting to see
Yeah, maybe.
what he's seeing. Yeah, because I mean, there's all sorts of ways of bringing that denial in. The flapping around the cleaning and all of that stuff that's quite a, get distracted by trivial things so that you don't have to like face up to the stark reality of what's going on.
Well, yeah, and he also says, doesn't he? Here's to another 9 years together.
Yeah.
That's full on denial. If things are where they think they are in terms of his health, that's pie in the sky. That's not on the cards at all, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah. They are in denial.
Yeah, and I suppose, actually coming back to the phone, the denial with the phone would be, because when we hear about the on death and dying conversation with Chazz and Molly later, and she says, it was written for the person to prepare themselves for death. And that is obviously what's going on through the episode as well. Chazz is, going through these 5 stages of grief unbeknownst to him for himself. And maybe that, because Mick is a part of that, part of that process by the end. Obviously she doesn't have any clue that her future husband is off murdering.
He's got reasons, mainly anger, which is where we head next.
Lovely little segue.
Thank you. Anger wine,
Anger
which I
wine.
initially read as angel wine, with the pictures of sort of cherubs on the bottle, and then spotted it was an R and went, oh, there's anger.
Yeah, there's anger.
There he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty nice vibe to the beginning of this scene. Like
It
nice
is.
bit of jazz, bit of wine, bit of dinner.
Bit of moaning about Molly still.
Yeah.
And that kind of
great impression of Molly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that kind of turns the conversation, doesn't it? When Chazz makes an offhand comment about renting the place out or having someone else work there next year because she'll be dead by then.
Yeah.
Then realizes what he said was a little insensitive.
Yeah.
Steve's a little bit shocked. Not Steve, Joe. They're not real people. Joe's a bit shocked, and it kind of kills the vibe a little bit of the evening.
Yeah.
Which then leads almost directly to our little confrontation around what's for dessert.
It's just the ludicrous triviality of, and just before that, there's like the bit where he says you haven't eaten much, and that's almost like a diffusing of that moment where he realizes, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Whoops.
Yeah, I've screwed up here.
Yeah, you haven't eaten much. You'll be having it for your lunch tomorrow and every day until it's all gone. I was like, that's a nice foreshadowing of what the bugs are going to be enjoying.
Or until you're all gone, Joe. It's going to stick around. It might outlast you.
Yeah, your dinner, the dinner you haven't eaten. Yeah, that's true.
I'd also like to know, so the milk lemonade conversation, I'd like to know what he was actually telling him was for dessert, because I'm not the one. Is it just chocolate?
I know.
If it was chocolate cake, this would make a lot more sense.
You got room for some pud?
What is it?
Milk lemonade. Round the corner, chocolate's made.
Sounds delicious.
Made by my own fair hand.
It's chocolate cake, anyway.
What is?
Milk lemonade, round the corner, chocolate cake.
What are you going on about?
Nothing. You always say it wrong, that's all.
What do you mean rice? Milk, lemonade, round the corner, chocolate's made.
No, milk lemonade, round the corner, chocolate cake.
Oh my God, he's trying to gaslight me. You want a herbal tea?
Sure.
Oh.
And if it's literally milk lemonade, round the corner, chocolate's made, as Joe prefers it, because it's like, all different foodstuffs from different parts of your body, then I do not want anything to do with that.
There's a certain logic to it.
Certain logic to it. Yeah, like you're creating a banquet with your body. Yeah. Again, an amazing foreshadowing.
Yes. I feel like this is some play acting on Joe's part, just to create this awful situation out of nothing.
Yeah.
Because he does. He bites on something that there is no need for, and he's just trying to cause trouble, to cause upset for the sake of it. Just a bit more knife twisting, I guess.
Yeah, whether it is genuine, because I was thinking, is this a sign of his personality? Because obviously he dwells on things. He's quite calculating in terms of when he gets on something, he's going to get his vengeance. And there are elements of real, like it looks like he's really holding on to it, really seething. Because when Chazz just pretty much forgets, because it's when he says, in my version, they're all different foodstuffs, and Chazz is like, "What are?" As if he's forgotten completely that they were having that conversation.
But I guess also, when you know what you know by the end of it, Joe has spent all of this time spending all this time with someone that he absolutely despises. Yeah. And it might be that this was just one thing too many for him. He was like, you know what? I can't let this go. Shut up. Yeah. And he almost has a bit of license through that to let loose for 30 seconds or so and just really get it off his chest a bit, how much he hates him. Yeah.
It's almost using it as that. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I'll just leave it. You're the one who learned the wrong rhyme. It doesn't rhyme.
I've even got a mate who has a different one at the gym.
Milk,
lemonade.
And then it's
push the button.
Fudge is made. Yeah. And then it's his like mocking of Chazz. That is like a petulant child, isn't it? Like,
it is,
Alexa, and he's like, yeah, I remember doing things like that as a kid. But and that is genuine annoyance.
And like I say, I think that must just be him giving himself a bit of license just to let loose a bit, and because it must be really hard work for him, spending all this time showering this man that he hates so much with adoration and telling him how wonderful he is.
Yeah. It's dedication to the bit, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we get the then the conversation, we get the thing of, is this the extent of things that you have to worry about, a rhyme and a fridge door, essentially. Fridge door being left closed. And then the conversation about anger. You don't know what anger is, Chazz, like true anger that drives you absolutely insane. And then you obviously, watching again, know what he's talking about. What
he's actually angry about, yeah.
Yeah. And then Chazz is talking about the cancer, and don't you think I'm angry at the life I've missed out on? I've dropped everything to be there. And
And Joe at that point is getting to almost see and like almost appreciate the fact that this is the effect I'm having. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. Yeah. Good.
Till the bitter end.
Let the hate flow through you.
There's that really interesting exchange where he says, you know, I'm not pissed off with you. I'm pissed off with the thing inside you, the bloody chocolate cake. And that does seem like a genuine reaction from Joe, where he's like, oh, I've not heard it called that before. And because they're usually the moments, you know, where you just see his face, they're over, because they're hugging at that point. So Chazz can't see Joe's face, but we can see Joe's face. And he doesn't have that, like, that look of a sinister villain who's like,
no, that's true.
He's like, he looks genuinely like he's enjoyed that reference to the tumour being a chocolate cake.
But I think also he might be enjoying the fact that this is, during the bath scene, he talks about how it's always repulsed Chazz, and Chazz has never been able to sort of meet it head on. And he's really struggled with the idea that Joe's got the cancer, and it's always the tumour's always repulsed him. And so I guess that's him going, yep, you really hate this, don't you? You can't even talk about it. You've got to call it a chocolate cake. Yeah. So maybe it's just a bit of that.
Yeah. And you see that with when he's talking to Molly as well, like he he has to make a joke out of everything. And yeah, that's a really good point. And then we see the kind of music resolves the argument here as well.
Yeah.
Really nicely. And then Joe goes to bed. Chazz says he'll clean up. And then we see the phone again on the table, which we discover doesn't unlock with a C.
No, it's an M.
M
for Molly. Oh, Mig.
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 I did get some Tom and Jerry vibes out of this episode as well, weirdly. And I'm not sure why, but
happy birthday. Yeah. It's the trapped in the one room together, I think.
Yeah, probably. Playing Monopoly maybe as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Which takes us on to bargaining.
Good segue.
Cheers.
Meet Molly. Oh, sorry. What we did have was the misty morning shot across the lock. There you go. As they call it. With
some mozzie sounds. Yeah, and Molly's with them.
Molly. She does love her cheese, does Molly.
She loves her cheese. She's a bit of a cheat.
Yeah.
But it doesn't count if you don't see it. So, yeah. Which again is a nod to Chazz's perhaps obliviousness to things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his naivety.
Yeah. His naivety is to what's going on, but also what he's done in the past and how he's behaved towards people in the past, perhaps a bit as well.
Yeah.
Because he's not all innocent.
He certainly isn't. No. I think he's a very emotional person.
And that's the thing. I think that there's a whole bit of his life that we don't know anything about when he was in that group and when that group broke up and how he was at that time.
Mm.
He could have been in a really dark place when he started lashing out at people on MySpace. I like that that's still a thing that we remember existed.
Oh, yeah.
Those are some of the best days on the internet, MySpace.
MySpace was great. I don't remember a lot of hate on MySpace, but maybe I'm remembering it fondly. I don't feel like trolling in the way that was described.
I don't think so.
Much of a thing.
No. Because I think it took more effort. Yeah. I think that's the thing with the internet now, is that everything's a bit too easy. I think MySpace required effort. You had to learn bits and pieces to make things happen on MySpace. It wasn't particularly user-friendly in many ways.
No, you had to learn a bit of HTML and, get your dancing things going on.
Exactly. And
music on
when you've put that much effort into it, it's not like when a little bird's just asking you what's happening at the moment and you go, I hate everything.
And that wasn't the case at the beginning of Twitter. People didn't used to hate everything. No. When it used to be, I'm having Weetabix for my breakfast.
Enough about your early posts.
I've deleted them.
You've been back and filtered everything.
Yeah. I want to discriminate against shredded wheat.
I started going online to other people's MySpace pages where they posted their own music and leaving abusive messages. Don't call us, we'll call you. That sort of thing. I was just so angry at what I'd lost and they all stood to gain. Certainly felt depression. And then after I met Joe, acceptance, but bargaining bit, never really understood it. That's why I'm so crap at Monopoly, I suppose.
Maybe coming here is the bargain. We're on holiday, we can eat and walk and play games, and death doesn't exist. Joe's cancer doesn't exist.
Yeah, and we find out that Chazz has an affectionate nickname for Joe, which is Nelly, the elephant.
That was mentioned. He did use that when they were talking about Mousetrap earlier as well. He called him Nelly.
Oh, did he? I didn't notice
on the way out of that conversation, he referred to him as Nelly. This little conversation between Chazz and Molly, it makes them seem like they do have a little bit of closeness, despite Chazz's frustration with her I guess, not doing the job she's supposed to be doing. But she's 82. Who's hiring an 82-year-old unless they want the place to deliberately be a hovel? Is that what this is?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah. And I think Chazz's, what Chazz says about Molly is just probably a bit of banter and a bit of insincere sort of jesting and joking. And it's not, which again, maybe when you think about the context of the MySpace messages, he didn't mean it. He was just, he just talks from a place of emotional reactivity, or like it's just a lot on the surface of his emotions that gets the better of him. But deep down, he doesn't mean what he says, which is not an excuse for what he said to Joe's daughter. But it kind of gives maybe
a bit of context to his character.
Exactly.
And then, so Joe gets up with his achy back, goes to loo, and he may be some time. And that gives Chazz and Molly a bit of a chance to have a chat about how Chazz is getting on with the whole thing. He's he's in one of the 5 steps, not one of the 7.
No.
Dopey, grumpy, bashful.
Which again he's the humour, like with it, can't have that conversation. Yeah, deflecting. Good word.
And then that's how we then find out about his former life as a pop star. What number in the charts did Blue Jeans Baby get to? Like 100 and something. 119 or something.
Yeah.
Not great. Some people bought it. Yeah, and he tried to go solo. And then he talks about being on MySpace and going on MySpace. And he was angry on MySpace. Maybe there was some anger on MySpace because he was getting pretty wound up about him not getting the breakthroughs through his use of MySpace that he thought he might be able to achieve. Because people did, didn't they? People did pretty well through MySpace because you had that ability to have that little widget there with like 4 songs or something on there, couldn't you? Like you could put your big ones on there. And it became a pretty effective marketing thing.
There were some huge people who I've never heard of since, but they had a lot of, and I don't know how much of it was a perception thing, and because I know there was a lot of there were a lot of like bots that you could use to generate or add friends. I remember people doing that kind of thing.
But you could buy followers and things, couldn't you? And I guess that's was that the first time that kind of idea of numbers meaning influence was a thing? Because it is now.
Because I remember, putting my music on there and stuff, and seeing these other artists and thinking, whoa, you're doing amazingly, because it gave them that credibility, because you didn't realize, oh no, it's all fake.
Yes.
For some of these people.
But I guess it was almost, there was a kind of a willing blindness around that though, because people could very easily look at that and go, well, great, that's my job done for me. I'll pick them up because look, they've got backing already. Perfect.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I suppose that the first of that in kind of creative industries where whether publishers or music, record labels, whatever, looking for artists that have done the groundwork of building the follow, so they don't have to do the publicity stuff, or as much of it. But yes, obviously Atlantic 5 didn't do all that well.
No.
They were dropped, and then his solo endeavors didn't work out very well.
And we can see Joe's listening in on all this, isn't he?
Yeah.
With like a bit of a wry smile on his face.
Yeah.
We don't know whether that's just because this is a story that he's all too familiar with because he's heard it from Chazz before, or he knows this story very well because he's made it his business to know this very well. And then we get a dance routine.
You're getting into that now,
come on.
aren't you?
She's my blue jeans, baby. She's my blue jeans, baby.
It's that moment where he said, if you're going to do it properly.
Yeah,
And
all in.
Reese, absolutely all in. And the two of them, it's one of those iconic moments with Molly, siphoning money out of the bank at the same time.
This is a David and Maureen.
Yeah. It's the, Reese. There's almost when Joe says, "Oh, you're really getting into this." It's almost like has he broken character there?
Yeah.
He's like, Reese, calm yourself. Yeah, it's lovely. And you get that bit when they're having the conversation, when Chazz and Molly are having the conversation about the stages of grief, talking about never really understood bargaining, and then she kind of sort of tries levering in the idea of what bargaining might be.
No, it's not that.
It doesn't really make any sense.
I'll swap your waterworks for my waterworks.
Yeah, that's how it returns, isn't it? And she's like, you come here, maybe this is the bargain. Death doesn't exist here. Joe's cancer doesn't exist. Miracles can happen. It's like,
that sounds more like denial than anything else.
But it is also true that Joe's cancer doesn't exist.
That is true.
And that is a miracle that can and will happen for you, but it comes at a price. It's the
everything has a price.
Fate thing. Yeah.
If I told you that I could make Joe's cancer disappear if you were going to be eaten alive by insects in a bar of concrete, would you take it?
Do you really love him?
Do you really love him?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bargain I would take.
No, that's not a bargain. No.
Yeah.
And then it's Joe's turn to cook with depression honey.
To cook or not to cook?
That is the question.
Quiche. It's forever the question with quiche.
You have to cook quiche.
I mean, it has to be cooked in the first place. Do you heat it up, or do you?
Otherwise, it's just raw egg and cream.
Has he made the quiche from scratch, or is this just a box?
I don't know. I guess we'll never know.
Did we see the quiche?
I don't think so.
Saw a salad. There was a salad.
Classic accompaniment to quiche.
Yeah, exactly. Does he want it hot or cold? Quiche or vengeance?
I've heard that's a dish best served cold.
How do you prefer quiche? Do you like quiche?
I like quiche cold, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really like reheated shop bought quiche. Goes a bit like flobby. Flobby. I often think of quiche as part of like a buffet or a picnic.
Yeah, something you don't fully commit to, but you have a little bite of.
Is that you at a buffet? Oh, that's why whenever I've been at a wedding that you've been out, there's just these half nibbled bits of stuff. Is that you?
Yeah. Oh, put it back.
Back it goes. Not what I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why the face mask sounds like a great little buffet. A little bit of oats.
It sounds horrible. I don't know why anyone would put that on their face.
Oh.
I'm not a face mask enthusiast, but that to me sounds hideous.
Yeah, and it looks hideous.
It does. Yeah. Oats, honey, baking soda, and buttermilk.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's taking the piss with the baking soda.
Yeah, I wonder what that adds.
I don't know, rise?
Yeah, just make it come out a little bit more off the skin.
If you can tell us what baking soda does in the face mask, please do email us.
Yeah, please do.
It'll be handy for the wrap-up episode.
Yeah, and we find out it's Chazz's pamper night.
It is.
And he's going to have a massage. So he's going between Joe's legs there.
And then there is this needlessly horrendous line about Primula.
There is.
Just completely gratuitous.
Completely horrific.
I don't think I can even repeat it.
No. You all know what it was.
You know what it is.
And he confesses to having had a bit too much to drink.
He does. again, I don't think that line was necessary for that.
Yeah. And then we have the sort of showdown around the phone buzzing, and he's kind of like, it's almost that desperation to know what is this? Like, why are you being so nice to me? He's not confronting it head on. And that seems to be a bit of a pattern in this relationship or in Chazz in general. It would be, I'm going to sort of skirt around the issue. Why are you being so nice?
But is this a little bit of moving through the stages where he's moved from the denial that there was anything there, maybe through a bit of anger that there is someone else messaging, into, I don't know, is this a bargaining thing of, if there's something going on, just tell me and we can figure that out. We tell each other this stuff. If we're flirting with someone, we laugh about it.
Yeah.
But he asks him while he's in the bathroom running the bath.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether Joe at this point pretends not to have heard, to buy himself a little bit of time to come up with something. When he comes back, he says, "What was that? I didn't hear what you said."
Yeah. I think
he's got a pre-made line about Mick, the Macmillan nurse.
Yeah.
Macmillan nurse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he, because that isn't necessarily going to be part of is him leaving his phone around so that, or maybe it is?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess actually there's also some bargaining here with regards to, he almost offers him his own confession about kissing someone at the treatment centre. He's offering that up to him as a,
I'll give you that.
Okay, I'll give that. You tell me yours.
Truth. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just his Macmillan nurse. She's great. You'd love her. Yeah. And so he then leads him into his Icelandic mud bath.
He does. The thing that he's always dreamed of.
Bit claggy.
Yeah, that would be a word for quick drying cement, I would think.
Claggy. Yeah, so he leads him in, and this is all being sold as a really loving gesture. And like you said earlier, that offered him the chance to go to Iceland and go and have this mud bath, and then pull that out from underneath him as just part of probably more mind games.
Yeah.
But then here he is. Maybe that was the long game.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Well,
I'm a genius. Mud bath, cement. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
And there's lots of, so he puts the Xanax in his champagne. I'm paying you back.
I just want to pay you back.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah,
you deserve it. You really deserve it.
Man, there's all those lines, isn't there? Yeah, you deserve it. The earlier one of, what did he say? I never stopped whatever happens, I never stopped thinking about you, which sounds like a lovely thing.
It's not.
No, it's not.
And then the music changes as he steps outside the bathroom, and now it all turns, and we see quick drying cement, and we think Chazz is about to be cemented into a bath, isn't he?
How is it?
It's a bit claggy, but lovely. Thank you. I should be doing this for you.
No. You deserve it. You really deserve it.
The music has been such an important part of just creating that sort of yearning, that empty, bittersweet feeling, like all of that stuff. And then, that there's like a string part that just sits beneath, just is very unnerving. And it's like, okay, we're going to a bad place now. Here we go.
Acceptance pills.
Acceptance pills.
is how we greeted with this last scene. Chazz wakes up in the bath and he can't move.
Oh,
which must be horrific.
Yes, it's an
there's
absolute nightmare.
There's in cement. In some respects, I think. Actually, no, maybe not. In some respects, I think there's quite a lot of danger involved in being in cement anyway. But I don't know if that. So, my knowledge here is coming from Holby City, not Holby City, Grey's Anatomy, different medical thing. Well, I remember an episode of someone being stuck in cement, and the risk is that while you're sort of crushed in there, and your body's almost being suffocated, and there'll be bits of you that are kind of crushed in where all these toxins are forming.
Right.
And as soon as you release that, they just run straight around your body into your heart. Bad news.
Okay.
Bad news for you. But I guess if you're just staying in the cement, then it's fine. It'll just be the bugs.
Yeah, I was wondering, would there be like compression and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess they're probably, I mean, was it 17 days? He said that someone lasted for.
Not in cement.
Not in cement.
No, that was.
What was that in?
Between two boats.
Okay.
But yeah.
So he may not last that long.
I think he's sort of experimenting with the cement vibe. So for Chazz's sake, I hope
it's quick.
It happens a bit quicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the reveal of it's the knocking the cement is like, there's something about that. It's like dark. That is horrible. And then
he's remarkably calm. Chazz.
I think he's a bit dazed, isn't it? Because he's a bit drunk probably and Xanaxed. So he thinks I think at first he thinks it's his fault for drinking too much. And he's like, I must have passed out. Like, what have I done? And then it starts to dawn on him, especially when he says, you're asking me about Michaela. And then he's like, it's a misunderstanding. That sort of thinking, this must be about that. And then
quite an extreme response.
The reveal then of like, no, actually I'm getting married to her. She's not a nurse. She's a finance manager, soon to be my wife. Horrible rendition of she's my blue jeans baby. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's creepy. And then he's just that really innocent question of like, why didn't you just split up with me? And there's something
that's
so
not
like,
what this was.
Yeah, it's not about that. There's something else going on here. There has to be.
What's happening? You were asking me about Michaela.
Oh, no. It's a misunderstanding. I didn't realise she was a nurse.
Well, she's not a nurse, actually. She's a finance manager. And soon to be my wife. Yeah, we're getting married next year. Shame you can't sing at the wedding. She's my blue jeans, baby.
And then I wanted to be able to look you in the eye and tell you you've completely wasted the past 90 years of your life. All those sacrifices you made were pointless. Like, ouch.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy because he never told him he loved him. He wouldn't, he's done some things he's not proud of, but he'd never do that. Yeah.
You put some more face pack on him?
Don't cry. You wash off your face pack. That's quite an important part of this.
It is. The cancer's not real. He's not ill. It's not there. It's all part of it.
It's a lot to take in without hands. I think I'd be using my hands I'd be like scratching my head.
Gesticulating all over the place.
Well, yeah, like, scratch my chin.
Scrunch
Everything I thought was real was
isn't.
not. But I also don't have hands, so I can't scratch anything.
And I like that he decides that he's going to introduce this whole segment about his daughter Olivia with a picture of Olivia, just for effect. You're going to look her in the face while I tell you.
Yeah, because he won't have ever seen her. He won't have known. He wouldn't have had any
No.
idea that there was a real human being on the end of his comments.
No. Question for you. Did you ever use MySpace on your phone?
I doubt it.
I've seen a couple of people talking about this, about how this lines up,
Right.
and then finding the records on her phone about her MySpace interactions. I imagine it's one of those things where internet on phones at that point was so poor that it wasn't really worth trying.
Yeah, I don't think I had a internet enabled.
Your WAP
phone.
enabled.
No. No.
I don't know when MySpace really sort of died out.
It was really about 2005, 2006. It was very unreliable. It was becoming messy. And that's when Facebook really sort of took over, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
2008, 2009, Facebook kind of went.
Yeah, well, I remember I started.
No, even before that,
yeah,
it was
2006,
wasn't it?
2006, because I remember being at university.
You needed the
Using
university address to.
And then Twitter, I joined in 2008,
Yeah.
and that was.
But yeah,
Facebook, yeah.
I don't know about this. I mean, it's fine as a storytelling device, but I don't imagine she was doing a lot of MySpacing on her phone. Could have just said, looked at her laptop.
We'll look past that.
We'll look past it.
Are there people getting really hung up on it?
There were questions around trying to make timelines work,
Okay.
around how long ago this would have been. So she was switched off. Was she switched off 9 years ago?
Yeah, I guess there or thereabouts, a bit longer probably, because
So she was in a coma for 9 years, and then this has been 9 years in the making. No, that can't be right.
that would be 18 years.
That would take us back to 2000 and...
Don't do this. Don't do this because
Is this going to make you feel unwell?
Yeah, this-
2005?
yeah,
2005 to 2023.
18.
She wasn't on a phone at that point.
No. But maybe he could use her phone. Oh no, she was in a coma. We'll let it
License.
slide. It's fine.
Artistic license, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Who owned MySpace at this point?
That's horrible. Steve.
What, you mean? What, the fact that our friendship is now old enough to vote?
Yeah. So we have, there's a lot of buzzing still. We hear about what's he describe it as? His campaign.
What is it called?
His
Oh, right, okay.
campaign. And he goes through that, where he found Chazz with two Zs. A nice little bzzz.
I must have absorbed that information first time round without realising it, because I was unthinkingly writing Chazz with 2 Zs every time I was writing something down.
So was I.
And it was only at that point I went, oh, that's why I've been doing that.
Yeah. But then I was watching it with subtitles on, and it's Chazz with 1 S in the subtitles.
Chazz, like Chazz and Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rabbit. Yeah, it's a pretty bleak story. Bottle of bleach in the bath, which put her into a coma
The coma for 9 years.
for 9 years. They didn't know why, but then Joe found out why. And so he came up with a plan to find Chazz and make him fall in love with him.
It's quite a thing, quite a leap to think, oh, that's what I'm going to do.
He didn't even go for a Mark Chapman, John Lennon vibe of just hunt him down, just shoot him.
No.
Done. It was I'm going to wage psychological warfare on you for 9 years to represent exactly what you've done to me.
Yeah, holding on to that. This is what I've had to go through, and you're going to have to experience that in a way.
And I think, but that's quite a weird way to view saying goodbye to your daughter. Your life being on hold for 9 years, while you waited for her to maybe get better, but then eventually having to turn her off represented a waste of your time.
Yeah. And you're seeing, because it's the use of the words like, you've all these things that you've sacrificed to complete waste of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've no idea because I've never been in that situation, thankfully. But I don't imagine you would view it like that.
You'd at least bargain with the fact that, no, at least I was putting that time into something worthwhile.
Yeah.
Maybe she knew we were there. Maybe she could hear all the things we were saying to her. And would that feel like a waste? I don't know.
I suppose maybe when you think there was someone responsible for it.
Yes, I guess so.
It would feel like it was a waste because it was needless. Like it shouldn't have happened.
Need to happen. Yeah. So he then tells us about his final plan, the Chazz.
Yeah. Whilst wandering around blowing out the candles.
Yeah.
Very sinisterly. Yes.
What's it called?
Scaphism?
Scaphism, that's it. An ancient Persian torture method.
Execution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
to be eaten alive.
You're tied between two boats, covered in milk and honey. And then it's the detail of the insects feeding and laying eggs, which then attracts rats and other vermin until you're literally eaten alive. Mithridates lasted for 17 days.
Good work, Mithridates.
Yeah. Well, legend has it that's how long.
Legend has it.
Yeah.
He went a bit Riddle of the Sphinx, didn't he, with his knowledge of classics and ancient civilizations. Just sort of flexing those muscles a bit.
I love how Steve just drops in little nuggets of knowledge into episodes like that. Yeah.
And then there was almost the, yes, audience, you're probably going to ask, what about if Molly comes back to clean?
Yeah.
Well, don't worry.
She's gone back to Glasgow to lick her wounds. So are they metaphorical wounds or are they literal wounds? He
did a little bit of scaphism.
Yeah.
Locked her in a cupboard with some mosquitoes.
Created a couple of wounds.
They're out again.
Away. Yeah. Yeah. And Chazz is like, you're just going to leave me here on my own? You won't be on your own. As he opens the window.
It's so evil.
There's that window opening again and the buzzing.
You can't do this to me. Oh, I've already done it. You're just in denial.
Hmm.
And then I've written, here come the bugs.
Here come the bugs. He blows out the penultimate candle, leaves one burning that's by his face. It's going to attract the bugs. Yeah, and I thought this is so haunting. Like as the sound of the buzzing kind of meets a crescendo, there's a real Wicker Man vibe to his calls.
Yeah,
and it felt even more Wicker Man-esque than Mr. King at that stage.
Yeah, which is weird, isn't it? Because that was the Wicker Man episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Joe, please. I'm sorry.
It's too late. And Joe coolly sits down to eat his quiche. He thinks he's going to have his cold.
She's my blue jeans, baby.
It's a great way to finish. It's a great song, actually.
It is. Where have they cooked that up from? Has that been recorded? Is there a full version of that somewhere? Is there a video?
I hope so. I hope that is what is going to play on Thursday night instead of Mr. King. The extended version.
The extended version, the 30-minute cut of Blue Jeans, baby. Yeah. So do you think he'll extract him from the bath in his concrete block and just dump him in the lake once it's done?
It's a very good question because there is quite a lot. If he just leaves things as they are, there's a lot that points to him.
Because I also think that it's, well, yeah, Molly knows he was there with him, which makes me wonder, is Molly actually on a train back to Glasgow, or is she in the lake?
Yeah. Is she having her nunu licked?
We weren't going to say it.
So,
the other thing with him being in concrete is that there's only a little bit really for the bugs to go at, isn't there? It's just his face.
Yeah.
And head.
And again,
they can't really get in anywhere else unless they're sort of going to worm their way down through any little air gaps and things.
It's the ears, it's the nose, it's the eyes.
Crawling in the ears. Oh.
You've got holes in your head that they can get into, and you have no hands. And it's
in your head.
It's
actually,
horrific.
They might be able to crawl their way down through, and you won't be able to do anything about it. They'll just
it's horrific. It's so horrific.
One of the worst things.
I think I don't know to think about it, but it is one of probably the most horrific end to one of those.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen on television, and it literally made me throw up. In some ways, this is the most horrific thing from this series. This is the thing that has left me most uncomfortable from this series.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen heads explode. I've seen legs sawn off. This is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's got the same thing as the idea of like being buried alive and how horrible a concept that is.
And it also has going for it the fact that you don't see it happen. Those are always the worst things. It's down to your imagination what Chazz ends up looking like after a few hours of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Steve and Reese, for that one. I thought it was such a great end to the series, and such a again. I mean, if we didn't know that or we hadn't been told, maybe there isn't. But if we didn't know that there was another series that had been commissioned, I'd be thinking this feels like the end. Like it's as you said, that kind of the reminiscence of the characters from Sardines, kind of bookending everything, and
it was such a classic number 9.
Yeah, and it being so minimal, so it just really is just the two of them with a bit of Molly thrown in. But the nature of that, of it being the two of them as a couple, and doing the dance, doing all of that stuff, it's like, yeah, this does nod to a sentimental send off.
And I guess the 5 stages of grief have come into terms with the fact that their series is ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe this is it. Maybe this was the real twist. There were only 8 series of entire number 9.
And instead of Mr. King, it will just be the two of them saying, "That's all, folks." Yeah, hopefully not.
No, you are right. If we hadn't had information, there would be a real open discussion online right now of, is that it? They done.
And we do get information that turns out not to be true as well. Don't we, bus fans?
Bus fans.
Yeah, so hopefully.
Don't start on them again.
Oh. No, I'm not going to start on the bus fans. Oh, yeah. Anyway, we will finish there and leave it open to your thoughts. We'd love to know what you thought of this episode and the series as a whole, ahead of our wrap-up episode, which I think we'll do in a couple of weeks. Otherwise, we don't have enough time.
People to talk to us.
So, yeah, get in touch via email at quietnightinsideno9@gmail.com or via Twitter @AQNIN9. And we will, go through the episode, go back to the Bones of St. Nicholas and work through the series and, share what you have thought about them all. And then anything else that we maybe have picked up on since our first episodes. Yeah. Looking forward to it. All right. See you soon.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
You still want yours heated up? I think I'm gonna have mine cold.
She's my blue jeans, baby. She's my blue jeans, baby, baby. Blue jeans, baby. With me, lady. Driving me crazy. She's my blue jeans, baby. She's my blue jeans, baby.